Assalamu alaikum, friends. Friends, Swapnapur was a small area in Pakistan, where, just after the morning azan, stoves would light up in every house. The people there lived very simple lives. They prayed, fasted, and shared love and unity among themselves. The sound of azan brought peace to everyone's heart. By evening, the alleys echoed with the laughter and play of children, and the voices of elders sharing stories. But one day, an incident took away all the peace and happiness from that place. Before starting the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, friends. We work so hard to bring you new stories, so please support us by subscribing, and let's move forward together. Jamal Uddin was a simple and honest man of that neighborhood. He ran a small tailor shop where he stitched clothes. One night, he returned home. His face had turned completely pale. His hands and feet were trembling, and there was a strange kind of fear in his eyes. His wife Nasima was in the kitchen cooking. Seeing her husband in such a distressed state, she asked, "What happened? Why do you look so disturbed? You look like you've seen a ghost." Jamal Uddin slowly raised his head and said, "I think I've made a mistake." Nasima laughed and said, "What happened? Did you mess up sewing someone's clothes at the shop?" Jamal Uddin said, "No, Nasima." He gave no further reply. He just kept rubbing his stomach where he felt a little bump. Nasima suddenly looked at her husband. Her smile disappeared. She thought, "What is he doing?" Nasima asked, "What are you doing?" Jamal Uddin's face became even paler. He said, "I don't know, Nasima, but I feel like there's something inside me." The rolling pin fell from Nasima's hand. She was shocked after hearing her husband's words. Nasima said, "What nonsense are you talking about? Do you have a fever?" She touched his forehead. "No fever." From Jamal Uddin's condition, Nasima felt that something serious had happened. The next morning, Jamal Uddin told his wife, "Nasima, I feel like something living is inside me." This time the teacup fell from Nasima's hand. There was clear fear in her voice. She said, "Are you going mad? How can that even be possible? You're a man, Jamal." But the look of certainty on Jamal Uddin's face only deepened Nasima's fear. She decided she would tell the village Mulvi Sahib about it. Then, the news of Jamal Uddin's situation spread through the neighborhood like wildfire. Jamal Uddin is pregnant. This news reached every street, every alley, every shop, every home. Some people laughed at him, some were shocked, and some thought, how could such a thing even happen? And to a man at that. Has someone done black magic on him? Or is he possessed by a jinn? Or is all of this just a lie? One day, some women from the village came to Jamal Uddin's house. They asked his wife, "Nasima Babi, is all this true?" Another said, "Has Jamal Bai fallen ill or something?" Nasima couldn't say a word. She was deeply worried. Meanwhile, Jamal Uddin sat at home. He hadn't gone to the shop. He would just sit there, rubbing his stomach while his fear kept growing every moment. He tried to remember what happened that night. 2 days ago, Jamal Uddin had been walking past a house with one of his friends. That house was a little far from their neighborhood. Everyone used to say, "No one lives in that house." That night, a light was on in one of the rooms of that house. Then Jamal Uddin's friend, Ismail, said to him, "Friend, look, there's a light on in that room. Maybe some hidden treasure is kept there." Jamal Uddin couldn't agree with Ismail, but due to Ismail's insistence, he went to that house. Inside the house, it was pitch dark. There was an eerie silence all around. The floor was covered with layers of dust. When Jamal stood in front of a new room, he felt like someone was watching him, but there was no one there. Then suddenly a cold wind blew past. Jamal Uddin saw a shadowy figure. In that shadow, 2 eyes were glowing. Jamal Uddin got scared, screamed, and fainted. When he regained consciousness, he was lying outside the house. He couldn't see Ismail anywhere. His stomach felt very heavy, and a strange kind of restlessness surrounded him. He thought, maybe he was just feeling weak for some reason. But after 2 days, he realized something else had happened. Nasima took her husband to the neighborhood's Mulvi Saheb, Haji Abdur Rahman Saheb. Mulvi Saheb was an elderly, pious, and wise man, whose words everyone respected and followed. Jamal Uddin told Mulvi Saheb everything that happened with him, about that house, about the shadowy figure and the strange feeling inside his stomach. Mulvi Saheb looked into Jamal Uddin's eyes for a while and said, "My son, this is not any ordinary incident. Some evil force has done something to you, or your mind is deceiving you." He recited some verses from the Quran and gave water with prayers to Jamal Uddin, and also sprinkled some on him. But as soon as the water touched Jamal Uddin's stomach, he screamed out loud. His stomach began to swell and he fell to the ground. Nasima and Mulvi Saheb were shocked. Was there something inside Jamal Uddin's stomach? Or was this pointing toward a bigger mystery? Jamal Uddin's screams reached every corner of the mosque. His stomach was visibly swollen. He was breathing heavily. Nasima tried to comfort Jamal, but her hands were shaking. Mulvi Saheb Haji Abdurrahman quickly picked up the Quran and began reciting Surah Al-Falaq. There was a strange trembling vibration in his voice, something that had never happened before. Crying, Nasima said to Mulvi Saheb, "Huzur, what is happening?" "What has happened to Jamal?" Mulvi Saheb said, "Have patience, Nasima. This is not any ordinary illness. I believe some evil jinn has possessed Jamal. We need to go deeper into this matter." Seeing Jamal Uddin's worsening condition, Mulvi Saheb called some trustworthy people from the neighborhood. Among them was Hakim Saheb, who treated people with traditional methods, and Ismail's elder brother, Rashidul. When Rashidul found out that Jamal Uddin had gone to that house with Ismail that night, he was shocked, because Ismail still hadn't returned home. Rashidul said, "I think something must have definitely happened in that house." Mulvi Saheb decided he would uncover the mystery of that house. He arranged for Jamal Uddin to stay in the mosque, and told Nasima to look after him, to take care of him. Then Mulvi Saheb, Rashidul, and Hakim Saheb set out towards that house. That day the weather was very cold, and it was raining heavily. As soon as they reached in front of the house, a strange kind of silence surrounded them. The door of the house was very old and dirty. Rashidul pushed it hard and opened it. Dust blew out from the front. Hakim Saheb turned on his torch, and the three of them entered inside. All around the walls of the room there were strange kinds of patterns. In one corner an old torn book was lying, its pages covered with dust. Mulvi Sahib picked up the book with his own hands and tried to read some of the words written there. It was an ancient, mythical scripture. He said, "There might be some jinn power hidden here." Just then Rashidul heard a light sound from a room, as if someone was whispering. He flashed the torch toward the room. Then what he saw took his breath away. In that room there was an old cupboard, and next to the cupboard were Ismail's shoes. Rashidul became certain those were indeed Ismail's shoes. He screamed out loud. Mulvi Saheb and Hakim Sahib came running. When they reached near the cupboard, they smelled a strange odor, like the smell of burning wood and coal. Mulvi Sahib tried to open the cupboard, but it was locked. Right at that moment a tremor was felt on the floor, and a crack appeared on the wall behind the cupboard. Meanwhile, back at the mosque, Jamal Uddin's physical condition started to worsen. His stomach had become so swollen that his shirt was about to tear apart. Nasima was crying in fear, and the people from the neighborhood had gathered outside. An elderly man outside said, "What is happening?" But there was no one to answer. At that moment, Jamal-ud-Din suddenly fainted. Nasima tried to wake him up, but he had lost consciousness. His whole body had become cold. Suddenly, Jamal-ud-Din opened his eyes and spoke in a voice that was clearly not his own. There was a strange kind of fear in that voice. Then again he fainted. Nasima started crying out loud. Meanwhile, in that mysterious house, Mulvi Sahib put his hand into the crack behind the cupboard. Immediately the wall started to tremble. Suddenly the wall split open and a secret path was revealed, which went downward like a staircase. Ismail's brother said only, "Maybe my brother is down there. We must go down quickly." Hakim Sahib said, "No, we cannot go down there." Mulvi Sahib said, "If this is the work of an evil jinn, then we must destroy it. May Allah Ta'ala protect us." The three of them started descending down that dark path through the stairs. Each stair had moss on it, and the stairs were wet. They went down. Below there was a large room in the center of which something like an old elevated mound was built. There, a black stone was placed on which red markings were drawn. Beside it, a broken bone was lying, and that bone had bloodstains on it. Suddenly, Rashid's eyes caught a glimpse of Ismail's torn Punjabi in one corner of the room. Rashid screamed out for Ismail, but in return he received only silence. Right at that moment, a smoky mist rose from the black stone placed on the mound. From it, a shadowy figure emerged. The eyes of the shadowy figure were red. A voice echoed from it. The shadowy figure said, "You have come to the right place." Mulvi Sahib began reciting the Quran, but that shadowy figure started to laugh. It said, "Your Jamal is now under my control, and very soon this entire neighborhood will be mine." Meanwhile, at the mosque, Jamal-ud-Din regained consciousness again, but his eyes had turned black. And looking at his face, it didn't seem like his own anymore, rather someone else's. He looked at Nasima and started laughing. That laugh. In no way did it feel like a human's laugh. He said, "He's arrived." There was a sharp tone in his voice. Nasima was stunned. She couldn't understand if her husband was truly possessed by some supernatural power. Whatever had happened in that mysterious house, was it really the work of an evil jinn? Or was there another mystery hidden behind it? And what had happened to Ismail? These questions were swirling around in everyone's minds, but no one could find the answers. In that mysterious house's dark environment, Mulvi Sahib, Rashidul, and Hakim Sahib were standing in front of that shadowy figure. The glowing red eyes of the shadowy figure seemed to be staring at them, and its terrifying voice was echoing off the surrounding walls. It said again, "Your Jamal is now in my grasp." And with a dreadful laugh, the shadowy figure vanished into the air. Mulvi Sahib was continuously reciting the Quran, but he was sweating heavily. He realized this was no ordinary jinn. Surely a much deeper mystery was hidden behind this. Someone had to inspect the black stone. Rashidul stepped forward to bring the black stone. Just then, Mulvi Sahib stopped him. He said, "Wait, Rashid. If we touch the stone, we might fall into danger. So before touching it, we must uncover its secret." Rashid angrily said, "My brother has been missing for 3 days, and you're still talking about thinking and analyzing. I have to find my brother." Ignoring the main concern, he touched the black stone placed on the mound. As soon as he placed his hand on the black stone, a bright ray of light burst out from it, causing Rashid to fall backward. Slowly, Rashid's eyes began to close and his body started to grow cold. Hakim Sahib and Mulvi Sahib tried to wake Rashidul. Mulvi Sahib recited supplications and sprinkled water on Rashid's face. After a while, Rashid opened his eyes. Crying, he said, I saw my brother. Ismail, my brother, he's inside that stone." Meanwhile, back at the mosque, Jamal-ud-Din's condition had completely deteriorated. His black eyes and terrifying smile were enough to scare Nasima. Nasima stepped back and said, trembling, Aren't you Jamal? What have you done to my husband? At that moment Jamal Uddin was not in his own being. He slowly nodded his head and, stepping toward Nasima, said, Jamal is not here now. Now I am here, and I will always remain. Hearing Nasima's screams, the people from the neighborhood rushed inside the mosque. But as soon as they saw Jamal Uddin, it felt as if their feet were stuck to the ground. His stomach was swollen in a strange way, and on his face, some bizarre markings could be seen. Seeing those marks on his body, he looked like a demon. One elder man spoke up, "We have to get this man out of the mosque." But before anyone could do anything, Jamal Uddin gestured with his hand, and a cold wind swept through the mosque. All the candles in the mosque went out. In the darkness, only Jamal Uddin's red eyes were glowing. A voice echoed in everyone's ears, "You will all fall into my grasp." And then that voice faded away. Nasima fainted and collapsed on the floor. The people of the neighborhood began to panic and run in all directions. Someone said, "This is a punishment from Allah Ta'ala." Someone else said, "This might be the effect of some black magic." But the question remained, where was Jamal Uddin? And what had happened that day in the mysterious house? Hearing Rashidul's words, Hakim Sahib and Mulvi Sahib were stunned. Mulvi Sahib said, "How could Ismail be inside the stone?" He reopened the book he had found in the upper room. Inside it were some old diagrams and magical spells written in Arabic. On one page there was writing about the black stone. It was written, "This stone is a doorway. This doorway is not of this world. It is a door to another realm. Whoever approaches this stone, their soul will become trapped within it." So, could it be that Ismail and Jamal Uddin, because of this stone? Hakim Sahib couldn't finish his sentence. Before that, Mulvi Sahib said, "We have to destroy this stone. But my brother, we must also discover the source of that power, the power that has made this stone so strong." Rashidul began murmuring again. He said, "That shadowy figure said, Jamal is his first victim. After that, he will take the entire neighborhood." Hearing this, Mulvi Sahib stood firm. He said, "This is not a jinn. It might be something else. Perhaps some ancient demonic force, which was trapped in this house but is now released." Meanwhile, there was chaos among the people at the mosque. Suddenly, when a cold wind swept in, the people became frightened and fell silent. Jamal Uddin appeared again inside the mosque, but this time his form was even more terrifying. His skin had turned completely black and blue smoke was coming out of his hands. In a dreadful voice he said, "Did you call me?" There was a strange kind of fear in his voice which terrified everyone. Nasima regained consciousness. She screamed and said, "Jamal, come this way, this is not you." Jamal Uddin looked at Nasima and said, "Nasima, your Jamal is now dead. I am alive, one who is beyond the cycle of life in this world. And now this place will be my home." The people tried to stop that demon in the form of Jamal Uddin, but whenever anyone approached him, he disappeared into the air. Then he reappeared in another spot and said, "You cannot stop me. What is mine I will take." Meanwhile, in that mysterious house, Mulvi Sahib turned another page of the book. There, a way to destroy the black stone was written. It was said, there's only one way to destroy the black stone. The one who started the process must be the one to end it. Hakim Sahib thought. Mulvi Sahib thought, the one who started, does that mean Jamal started it? Rashidul said, it could be. When Jamal came to this house that night, maybe he touched the black stone, and that's when it all may have started. Mulvi Sahib said, then the one who started it must be the one to finish it. Only Jamal can end everything. But Jamal is no longer himself. We have to bring him back. Hakim Sahib said, but how? Mulvi Sahib pointed at the book and said, there is a prayer here. through which souls can be called back. But for that, we must bring Jamal here, in front of this black stone. Rashidul exclaimed, "Can we really bring back Jamal's soul? Or will this evil force named Hayat devour our entire village? And what about my brother Ismail?" There were no answers to these questions. To find those answers, they had to take a terrifying step. In that secret room, Hakim Saheb and Rashidul stood still. That black stone seemed to be the source of everything. The written prayer was now their last hope. But the question was, how would they bring Jamal Uddin, or rather the one who had become Hayat, back to that house? Rashidul said, "We have to return to our village. We must bring Jamal from there." Mulvi Sahib put the book down and said, "Yes, we need Nasima's help. She is Jamal's wife. Maybe Nasima's love can bring Jamal back." The three of them quickly left that house. They headed toward the mosque. As they walked, the wind grew stronger, the storm more intense. An eerie silence had spread across the neighborhood. Outside the mosque, the people stood gathered in fear, but no one had the courage to go inside. Nasima was still lying on the floor, and Jamal Uddin, or Hayat, was standing beside the minaret of the mosque. His black eyes were glowing and blue smoke was swirling around him. He spoke again. "You all will fall into my grasp." His terrifying voice echoed through the air. Mulvi Sahib, Rashidul, and Hakim Sahib entered the mosque and tried to bring Nasima back to consciousness. Hakim Sahib said, "Nasima, get up. We need your help." Nasima slowly opened her eyes and in a weak voice said, "My Jamal. Where is my Jamal?" Mulvi Sahib said, "Nasima, your Jamal is still alive, but his soul is trapped inside that demon. We must take Jamal to that house. Nasima, you must call him. Only your voice can bring him back." Nasima gathered courage within herself and stood up and called out, "Jamal, come to me. I am your Nasima. Don't leave me." Hayat turned back and looked at Nasima. The smile on his face disappeared. For a moment, tears shimmered in Hayat's eyes. Perhaps that was a glimpse of Jamal's soul. He shook his head and said, "He was weak. Now I am here." "I am Hayat." Nasima called out again, "Jamal, try to remember. I am your wife. We are married. We have a happy life together. You can't leave me and go anywhere." In his eyes, a strange restlessness started to show. Mulvi Sahib began to recite the prayer. His voice echoed off the walls of the mosque. Hayat screamed and said, "Silence! You all, be silent." Nasima's emotional words and Mulvi Sahib's prayer began to affect Hayat. Hayat's body started to tremble, and he slowly began to move out of the mosque. Rashidul said, "Our plan worked. Now we must take this Jamal, who has become Hayat, to that mysterious house." The people gathered courage among themselves and surrounded Hayat. He tried to vanish into the air, but the power of the Quranic prayer held him back. Nasima kept walking behind Hayat, continuously calling out to him. As they reached in front of the house, Hayat collapsed on the ground. Then his body looked like Jamal Uddin's, but his eyes were still terrifyingly red. After that, Rashidul, Mulvi Sahib, and Hakim Sahib took Jamal Uddin into the secret room of that house. They laid Jamal Uddin down beside the mound of the black stone. Nasima was holding Jamal Uddin's hand, crying continuously. Mulvi Sahib opened the book and began to recite the special prayer. Mulvi Sahib's voice began to grow stronger. At that moment, a voice echoed again from Hayat's body. "No one can stop me." But Mulvi Sahib did not stop. Just then, a powerful light emerged from the black stone. In that light, Ismail's shadow could be seen, and then slowly, Ismail's body became visible. Rashidul called out to his brother, "Ismail!" But Ismail had fainted at that moment. Hayat began to scream one last time, but as soon as the prayer was completed, his body began to tremble. Jamal Uddin's eyes became smaller, and he let out a deep sigh. The black stone suddenly shattered, and with it, a black shadow escaped from the stone and dispersed into the air. And at that moment, Hayat's power came to an end. Jamal Uddin opened his eyes and looked at Nasima. In a calm voice, he said, "Nasima," and then fainted again. Ismail also regained consciousness, but he remembered nothing. Mulvi Sahib said, "This was an ancient evil power which had been trapped in that black stone. Jamal accidentally released that power, but with Nasima's love and the power of the Quran, it has now been completely destroyed." Mulvi Sahib said, "Cheat. We must bury this stone, so that this power can never return again." Peace returned to the village. Jamal Uddin and Ismail both recovered fully, but the terrifying memories of that night still remained in their minds. Nasima held Jamal's hand and said, "Now there's no more mysterious house, no magical power. Only us and the people of our village. We have returned to a normal life again." But the mystery of that mysterious house left one question in everyone's mind. And that is, has everything really ended? Or somewhere else in some other way is another mystery still hidden? Will that evil force return again? Maybe the story isn't over yet, friends. If you want the second part of this video, then please let us know in the comment box. If you liked the video, then please like it, share it with your loved ones, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. That's all for today's video. Allah Hafez.